David Lee, thank you very much for talking to me, even though you're on vacation in Taiwan. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be there in Shenzhen, and we're going to meet you there, and you're basically going to take us into the Chinese EV market. And just want to discuss some highlights which we're doing and some highlights which are happening at the moment. You started the Shenzhen Open Innovation Lab first. I mean, what kind of lab is that, and what are you doing there?
Um, our lab, we study the open innovation ecosystem in China, and then we articulate this for our partners,
Hmm.
and we help the entrepreneurs to access the open innovation in China.
Yeah.
Uh,
And is that for Chinese entrepreneurs who want to go outside, or for other people, distributors or something who want to basically go into China?
we help the global entrepreneur to access the open resource here and to go to the whatever market they want to go to.
Yeah.
Most of our entrepreneur we work with, they are doing this for their home market. They are just leveraging the open ecosystem here to go faster
Uh-huh.
and go quicker.
Yeah. But you also have foreign groups, right, from all over the world, which are coming, and you're a great hub to basically get knowledge, contacts, and acceleration for. What is your own background?
My background is in computer science, and I was studying in the US in the 90s.
Hmm.
And then later on, I jumped into the internet startup in 96,
Hmm.
right through the first crazy bubbles.
Yeah.
And the bubble burst, I moved to China.
And then another bubble started. Well, actually, it was not a bubble; it was a gigantic explosion, right? So you basically went through it all. So okay, so we're going to meet you, and you're going to be part of the group, and you're going to travel us with us around China. So let's talk about our interest, which we have, and that's the Chinese EV market, and it's both NEV and both LSEV. We are arriving in Hong Kong on Saturday. Then we go to Shenzhen, and we're going to basically go to the industrial market, see how the electronic market is going to be operated. But on Sunday, we're going to have a boot camp, and we're going to basically get all the knowledge we need about the policies in China. What are the big trends in EV at the moment? Because we all know that half of the EVs are produced in China, the EVs are produced, and that there's a lot of different manufacturers. But what are the big trends there?
Well, I think Shenzhen is a great place to start. People already read about the electrification of the Shenzhen transportation. Now all the buses are electric, and all the taxis are electric.
Hmm.
Well, we still have a few non-electric taxi around Shenzhen, but vast majority of the taxi are already electric vehicle.
Uh-huh.
And I think starting from Shenzhen is a good way to look at what a city can do to go and electrify its transportations.
Yeah.
China is also for Shenzhen is to look at electric vehicle is mostly driven by more commercial usage. Much larger adoption of the EV is in the commercial sectors.
Uh-huh. So and what do you mean by that? What kind of commercial sector do you mean? I mean, you talked already
So
about buses, which is everywhere in China. Electric buses are starting to dominate, right? But I mean, if you look about utility vehicles, what kind of things are you talking about?
so right now, utility vehicle on the pipeline, we will be looking at even more trucks, delivery vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
uh, commercial vehicle, the street cleaner, a lot of the special purpose vehicles,
Uh-huh.
they are going electric as well.
Yeah, and that's not a subsidy. That's not a subsidy-driven market, right? That's a market which is driven by commercial factors.
Yeah, in commercial sector, EV provide very clear return on investment. that sectors has a very great incentive. As soon as the current asset is been written off,
Uh-huh.
switching to a EV is no-brainers.
Uh-huh. Okay, so that will be
Uh,
very interesting. That is already, and we're gonna learn all about why that is happening and why it is there is a good business case for utility vehicles. But you also have, I mean, there's about a 20 million passenger cars market, and you're already doing a million new EVs. So there's also people who are driving an electric car. What kind of where is that? Is that the elite who's driving it, or is it the mid-size, or which group is more likely to drive an electric car, and why?
so China right now, the EV market is all over the place. So for the luxurious EV side, we see Tesla. We see company like NIO. We see company like XPeng, who's doing this $50,000 electric vehicle, luxurious electric vehicle market.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, there's also city to city. In city like Shanghai, where license plate costs $20,000, and electric vehicle gets free license plate.
Uh-huh.
There's actually a lot of mid-range, $20,000-$30,000 electric vehicle popular in Shanghai, just because the cost saving is not so much on the electric vehicle itself, but mostly on the driver license on the license plate.
Uh-huh.
So the adoption of the personal use of the NEV is different from city to city.
Yeah.
Uh,
Huge differences. Huge differences. So, like you say, Shanghai, you have to. It's a lottery. It's very expensive to get a license plate, and EVs can just go in there. So that's a no-brainer. What is the incentives in Shenzhen?
So in Shenzhen, the what we mostly see the commercial vehicle deployment. In terms of the personal use of electric vehicle, well, it's luxurious vehicle. It's novelty. So Shenzhen got tons of Tesla,
Yeah.
got tons of the NIO.
Uh-huh.
But let's spoke more about the efforts of the cities rather than the policy of the cities.
Yeah. The interesting thing is in China there's 500 EV companies, right? 500. I mean, it's like we don't have 500 car companies in the world, and there's 500 EV companies in China. Why is that?
Well, but before we say that, we used to have 500 car company around the world before the great consolidation started in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, China is just bring us back to that very original reality of making a car. Well, it is making a car. Making an EV is not hard, especially when the supply chain is open. Everybody depends on tier 1, tier 2, and tier 2 suppliers to put together a car.
Uh-huh.
Most of the car company at the end is they assemble the car, they finance the car, and they put their logo on the car. So I think China is reflecting the normal state of the electric vehicle, what electric vehicle could be. And let's make it fun to look at China. We didn't generate 500 Tesla,
Uh-huh.
but Tesla is really outliers of the automobile company.
Yeah. So every city has its own. Every city has its own. Has its own car company, and everybody supports that in different ways. Now the
Yeah.
rules of the city are different, and the rules of the national government have changed quite dramatically with EV. Right? What has changed?
Yeah, so the big drastic change for this year is that used to be $8,000 to $10,000 subsidies for NEV. That gets cut in half this year to about 5,000. And the other one of the change to this
Mm-hmm.
is coming from it used to be the subsidy was given at the point of purchasing. Right now, I think the subsidy has been delayed to after up to I think a year or two after the car is delivered. So this is going to change hugely into how how many of the 500 is going to survive.
Yeah. So it could easily be that easily be that we go from 500 to 300 or 200 or something like that in the next couple of years.
Yeah, but we could also stay in the same number, and that's bring us to the other fun part about China. So, an EV is getting all the attentions with this government subsidy, with all the fancy feature people are putting in. And I think for the upcoming trip, we are also going to look at another phenomena in China, is at the low-speed electric vehicle. This is the small 4-seater, low speed up to 60 kilometers an hour. Most of them at about 100 kilometer, 120 kilometer per charge. The best part of this, the low speed electric vehicle, they started from $1,000, and the luxurious version in this category is 5,000.
And then you have then you have one with a nice Tesla big screen, right?
You get Tesla big screen, nice interior, funky exterior, interesting driving experience, and it's actually pretty nice handle.
Yeah.
But this whole part of the LSEV came out of China is another great story about how the duality of the Chinese system, how the LSEV are popular in only 2 provinces in China. They are in this province called Hebei in north of China, and adjacent to it is Shandong. So the 2 provinces with about totally 150 million population.
Yeah.
In the past 7 years, they put about somewhere between 6 to 8 million of this electric vehicle on the street.
Yeah, and they are not legal, right?
Well, they are not legal, but they are not illegal. They have this in between legal status.
Yeah, but they're also not insured, right?
They are not insured. They don't have license plate. And I just came through an article with a Shandong police talking about stopping one of this car. It's always our debate on whether or not they can give the correct tickets. This has been an industry growing in the wild without the Chinese government support, without subsidies. But they have been growing very strong. The industry has been looking at 30% year-on-year growth. And right now there are about 700 of them around China, and being themselves growing stronger. We are already seeing some of them are starting to either get into the low end of the NEV market, which is at about $10,000, $15,000 NEV vehicle, or even there are consolidations of this money-making LSEV company buying up the decline NEV company.
Yeah, so that will be very much fun later in the program on Wednesday, when we will be visiting a design firm describing it, and we'll also go to the biggest factory of those LSEVs, where millions and millions are being created more than 2 million are being created this year, and it's growing about 30%. And that's really interesting, because I think that's the way a city deals with that, by having a non-licensing thing. I mean, it's just like unbelievable that it's so big to do that. A little bit about this whole fragmentation of the new EV. BYD in Shenzhen, what kind of status does that company have?
BYD is a well-respected company here, and so their core business is in the commercial vehicle, mostly buses. Their buses is been deployed in China, in Japan, in Europe, all over the globe. And I think they also have right now they are looking at pretty strong growth in South America as well. But I think BYD is known for BYD is known for being one of the few company invested by Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
And the identity of the company has continued to be shifting. It's a electrical, it's a EV company.
Yeah.
But it's also one of the. It's also right now it's the second biggest electronic contract manufacturers.
Yeah, and batteries, they're huge in batteries. So I'm really looking forward. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to the visit, which we have on Tuesday, I think. Okay, wonderful. So I had somebody ask me about hydrogen. You know, just the new subsidizing goes into hydrogen cars. Where does that fit?
Well, I mean, hydrogen is China right now is already on the path to have a very healthy growth in terms of the lithium ion electric car. But the betting on lithium ion to be the only storage of power of energy is not a good bet. So last year they're starting to have another look at what could be next. What could be another viable technology to store energy for vehicle? So hydrogen. And so Wang Gang, the Minister of the Science and Technology, has been also been called the father of electric car in China.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so he's now starting to promote hydrogen.
Wow. I hope we will know a little bit more about that thinking, because we are really trying to understand how that contributes to the new design. So we're going to talk about that in the boot camp. Two more questions. Do you know if there's plans from from companies from China to basically come to Europe and especially specifically the Netherlands, like with electronic delivery cars or something like that? Are they going to be aggressive, or is there so much market in China that we don't have to expect them for a long time?
So I think there are two sides. One side is probably right now most of the Chinese companies are too busy with the rapid growing Chinese market. But rather than waiting for the Chinese company to come to Europe, the one great thing about the Chinese ecosystem is it's open. So every component, every part, everything you needed to build an electric car are available openly to anyone wants to create. So we are starting to see a lot of inquiry coming in from European company who's doing electric vehicle and trying to figure out how they can leverage the Chinese supply chain to go faster, to have better cost structures, to save money and save time. And this is one thing I think I would love to see coming out of the trip. It's not just come in and see, oh, great, Chinese are making EV, let's just wait for them to build the next Mercedes and BMW. But rather than understanding, experience this ecosystem, and we can get more people to jump in and say, I'm going to start in my own company in Amsterdam.
Okay, Teun, Teun, that was the answer for you. Do it yourself, everything is available, and we'll learn more about it. The second question from Rob is, there was a lot of subsidizing. In 2020, most of the subsidizing will be disappeared. how essential was the subsidizing to the growth of EV? How much can EV growth survive when the subsidies have disappeared?
So right now, I think the subsidy has done enough to build up the supply chain and ecosystem in China. So right now, the company gets a large enough size, they can stand on their own to explore what is the real EV market. The subsidy has done its job. The subsidy is for China, the subsidy is not about environment. It's about economic development, and it's not about getting the company to cross the finish line. It's getting the company. Subsidy is the starting bell. It's basically tell the company now you're starting to run. So I think the subsidy on EV has done its job with 500 companies out there, with right now global 60-70% of the EV produced here. The industry is already big enough, and right now it's the first consolidation coming.
Okay. Yeah, so definitely did a good job in promotion. I have a really nice Goldman Sachs report, which I'm going to share with the group, so that you can see where they're basically describing that too. So you can basically see some other things. Battery innovation. Last question from Rob Korver. How many companies are busy with batteries, and how much innovation is coming from that field? And do you have an overview of what's happening in that part of the market?
Yeah, I mean, battery, the lithium-ion, of course, huge investment into production. And here's the thing: right now we are at the stage, the production company are driving the technology evolutions. Anything who can help the company to make the battery better, to make the the battery bigger, last longer. All of those technology are being invested into as part of the open supply chains to this large battery production capacity. Then right now, even the lead acid battery are still getting new innovations, new chemical, new kind of casting, new kind of material. A lot of low-speed electric are still run on lead acid. And
the cheap ones.
Oh yeah, that's also the super capacitor battery. It's already commercially available in China.
Yeah. So I hope we're going to talk a little bit about that at the boot camp, because we're really interested to get an overview of that. Okay. So this is enough for today. I think this is 23 minutes as a preview of what's going to be happening in our trip. We're going to arrive in Hong Kong, which is really interesting. Going by boat, going to Shenzhen, going to look at the markets. On Sunday we have the boot camp, and then on Monday we're going to visit all these different companies, and look at BYD. And then Wednesday we're going to look at the LSEV market, and on Thursday we're going to be in Shanghai, and also talking to the government there. And Friday there's a really fantastic day off. I mean, it's a party day. It's a celebration day, and we're going to look at all the modern retail. We have a trend watcher who's going to basically show us around and basically show all the new trends and what happens with WeChat and Tencent and all these kinds of things. So, and you're going to travel with us, David. So we're going to get to know you as a group really well. So I'm hoping to see you at the dinner in Shenzhen on September the 7th. And thank you very much for your time during your vacation in Taiwan.
Thank you. It's always good to chat, and look forward to see you.
Okay, thank you very much.